Hello everyone, welcome to Vaibhava English Academy. Today I have come with a very interesting topic and also this is very essential. Coming to the topic of discussion, that is the synopsis format for PhD registration and also for PhD submission. We know that for attaining a seat in for doing PhD, one has to submit synopsis. This is also known as research proposal. Okay, in the very first step of acquiring a seat for doing PhD would be to create a very interesting synopsis or research proposal. At the same time, after you have written your thesis, after you have gone through all the doctoral committees, after you have given your pre-submission viva, okay, you are required to submit your synopsis along with your thesis for the university for evaluation. Okay, so synopsis forms a very important part of your PhD thesis. We can say that the research proposal or the synopsis which you present during your admission time is the stepping stone. Once you have placed your foot rightly, then the rest of the tasks become very easy. We all know the proverb that if the beginning is good, the end is good. Yes? So, with this energy and with this positive spirit, let us quickly see what synopsis is all about. Now coming to research proposal, that is the synopsis that you write during your admission time, or this is the very first step. You have to, if your synopsis is very attractive, then the guide, prospective guide, would be interested in taking you as candidate. If the university or the panel is rejecting your synopsis, you would lose a seat and you would not be able to complete your even start your PhD. Therefore, synopsis must contain your idea and it is very important. Please have an understanding of this. Now coming to the who are required to write research proposal. So let me tell you the people who have completed their MA, if they have passed their NET, then they can directly join PhD. Okay, and before joining, any university would conduct you see RAC meetings. That is the RAC panel who check if the candidate is credible enough to continue their PhD. Okay, and there are certain universities which offer so many scholarships and also fund for and fellowships for the research scholars. So we can say that your synopsis is your passport into the world of PhD. Okay, so it is. We also know the importance of PhD. Although UGC and the government has not made it mandatory for admission into universities, it is the norm now that any person with MA and NET can teach in a college. But when it comes to the interview process and all, and along with the marks allotted for PhD, PhD has to be, one with PhD gets more weightage, and that person has more chances of getting into lecturership. Okay, so that is the importance of PhD, and today's generation, as I can see, as my students, they all are interested in pursuing PhD, okay, doctorate. So coming to how to write a research proposal. The very first thing that you must think while going to write a research proposal is the title. Although the title is tentative, that means it is temporary. It might be changed in the first RAC meeting, the first doctoral meeting. It is no problem. But then you have to keep a tentative title for your work, for your synopsis. Synopsis is nothing but your idea of how you are going to proceed with your research process. And how should be the title? The title must not be misleading. The title should be precise, and the title as a simple single unit should imply your idea, and usually colons are used in between. For example, the title would be split into two using a colon. So the first part would give the first idea, and the second subordinate clause would give the your remaining idea. So in that, especially in the Indian scenario, usually titles are given as a phrase and a clause using title, using colons. Okay. Now, the title part is over. So the very first thing that you would be doing for your synopsis is planning a tentative title. Okay. Now, there is a little advice that I would like to give you. Try to take recent works on which much research hasn't been done. Okay, if you are taking the previous works, for example, I have met scholars who take even Shakespeare's works and they try to view it in different angles. You see, those people are mostly at risk because researchers from any other universities across the world might have done something which you are planning to do. Therefore, I would suggest, it's a humble suggestion, you can try to take recent works written by recent authors so that you can avoid chances of plagiarism, and also you can prove your uh, integrity in a new field. Okay. Coming to the so first of all, the title is done, and the second topic in a proposal, research proposal, is aims and objectives. Aims stands for the target where you have to reach after doing your research. Where do you want to reach, or where do you want, or what do you want as a result? You see, I am speaking from the perspective of literature. I am not speaking about science subjects. I am speaking in accordance only with literature, because I have done my PhD in literature, that also in Australian literature. Okay, and I know the process and proceedings related to literature alone. I am not an expert in science. Okay. Coming to the objectives. Objectives are the small steps. Now, the objectives would be you must take realistic areas. You must not take broad areas. For example, if you are taking children's literature, okay. I'm just giving an example. If you are studying autism in children, okay, if you are taking it as autism in children, that would be a very broad subject that you cannot cover in one PhD thesis. Therefore, you must narrow it down. You must narrow it down to maybe autism as represented by Indian writers, or autism as represented by any language writers, say Tamil writers, say Malayalam writers, okay, say Bengali writers, okay. So you must narrow it down. You must have a if just like we say, from general to specific you have to come. Okay, your topic of research must not be so very broad, and that must reflect in your title as well. In your title, you must precisely mention that you are going to analyze one particular aspect from one particular group. Okay, if it is too broad, then the doctoral committee is sure to cut it short or reject your synopsis. Now coming to the next one, literature review. Okay, literature review forms an important role. If your literature review is done right, then you are halfway into research. You can say that from that literature review, you can write half of your introduction, chapter 1. Okay, so how should you do literature review? See, in many universities, they say that one has to trace the origin and development of one particular literature. For example, if I am taking the work of uh, a British writer, for example, just say I am taking the work of George Orwell. Okay, then I must not be going to origin and development of English literature. I must not be going from Beowulf, Chaucer. I needn't be doing that. That is the wrong context. That is not the right context. So what you should be focusing is, if I am focusing on politics in George Orwell, then I must study about other works in the political context alone. Okay, I hope you get me. If I am taking, for example, let me take another example. If I am studying about trauma, trauma in any writer. Okay, if I am saying a trauma in Kamala Das, if I am taking that, okay, then what I must do is I must not be tracing the origin of Malayalam literature. I must not be tracing the origin and development of Indian literature. Rather, I would be focusing on the trauma related text similar to Kamala Das's writing. Okay, you must do the same. So you have to identify, you have to find the similar works written in your particular field of interest. Okay, and that forms the literature review, and this particular literature review finds part in your chapter 1 as well. Okay, and for collecting literature reviews, what you should do, you must read Shodh Ganga, which is a very free website. Shodh Ganga is a website where all the PhD holders in India would submit their PhD for others. So you must check in Shodh Ganga if anybody has done anything related to what you are intending to do. Then if you find such similarity, please change your idea. Okay, you must find some new idea, or you must bring some innovation to your work. Okay, otherwise your work might be considered plagiarism. You see, plagiarism is not just copying. Even if an idea, if you have taken any idea without acknowledgement, that becomes plagiarism. Okay, so before proceeding into writing synopsis, you must go through so many works. You must understand so many structures. You have to, first of all, you have to choose your field. You have to specialize in one particular field. From that, again, you have to narrow down to so many smaller subjects. Okay, and then you have to surf in Shodh Ganga and also various university libraries. It is always advised to take works after 1960s. Okay, usually the guides won't ask you to take works before that, because so many researchers have been already done. Okay, I think that you are clear with this topic, literature review. Coming to the gaps in existing research. Now, you must mention in your synopsis that your research fills the gaps in the existing research. For example, if you are taking narratology, just say, for example, okay, then you must say that so many works have been done in this particular field, but then there is something missing, and your particular work would fill the gap. Okay, so first of all, in your research proposal itself, you must mention it that in the research process there is a gap, and your work will fill the gap, or your contribution to that particular field is significant. Okay, please try to include this topic as well, gaps in existing research. Now, coming to methodology. As I already told you, I am somebody from humanities field, and I am speaking for I mean scholars from humanities field. Okay, so we literature people usually do qualitative research. Qualitative research deals with human emotions, human ideas, living conditions, their emotional quotient, and also the situations in the country, if it is war, if it is peacetime. So qualitative research only, we deal with the abstract ideas, not with quantitative research. Okay, most literary theses do not go after the quantitative research. Like we won't go for uh, you see taking quantities. We are after qualities, qualities of particular person, qualities of a hero, qualities of a villain. Okay, so mostly literature people do qualitative research. Okay, so in your methodology, you have to mention in your methodology that you would be following one particular method. For example, you might be taking any theory. For example, as I was mentioning, if you are dealing with the trauma in Kamala Das, you might be referring to trauma theories. So that is your methodology. Or you might not be doing any comparison between theories. You might be doing comparative literature. For example, you might be thinking how Indian literature, how Kamala Das as an Indian poet works, or as or any contemporary from other literature, say American or African literature, has dealt in the same way. That is comparative literature. So what methodology are you following? Are you taking any theories? Are you taking Are you comparing literature from two different areas, or are you just giving the context alone? There is a thing that you need not apply theory. Your thesis does not depend on theory. You can take just abstract ideas and you can go in your own flow. So, what is your research methodology? That you must clearly state in your research proposal. Okay. After the methodology comes chapter division. You see, usually people have five chapters, the first being introduction and the last being summation, and the three, those three would be the core chapters. Okay, you can opt for seven chapters or nine chapters. Those scholars who are especially focusing on poetry, they usually go for a more number of chapters, like seven, nine, and all. Okay, even if you are taking novels, it is widely seen. The people who are taking more number of novels go for additional chapters. Otherwise, it is a norm to write only five chapters, which contains introduction, summation, and the three core chapters. Okay, you must mention your chapter division as well. So you must be giving the title of chapter division. Chapter 1 deals with introduction, chapter 2 with chapter 2 and the core divisions, core chapters with particular topics you must be assigning, and the last summation. Okay, now after this you have to write your conclusion, and in that conclusion you should highlight this need for research, how society would be benefited from your research. You must write in the conclusion how your significance of research in that particular field, how your research is going to fill a gap in one particular field. If you have answered to all these questions, and if the research committee finds it very attractive, okay, RIC committee, which stands for Research Admission Committee, if they are impressed, then you are getting a chance to do PhD, and also you would be in a position to avail scholarships that would come in your way. Okay, so let me just revise it for you. Whenever you're writing research proposal, first of all you have to give your title, which is tentative title, that is prone to change. Okay, you have to mention your aims and objective. Aim stands for the final target where you have to go, and objectives, what are the small steps that you are taking. Okay, what are the realistic areas that you are taking. Okay, then the third is literature review. For literature review you have to read a lot. You have to read from Shodhganga, you have to read from various university libraries. Okay, and find out that your work is unique. You are not copying anybody's work or idea. And then you must mention gaps in existing research, how your research is going to contribute to this field. Next comes methodology, where you will be discussing your method, how this your research is going to progress. Is it going to be comparative literature? Is it going to be in translation, or is it going to be in theories? Okay. Then finally you must mention your chapter division and give a very pleasant conclusion, telling the reader the need for your research in this particular society. So that is it. Now coming to the next topic. Why synopsis? So what is synopsis? Synopsis is a brief account of what you intend to do during the research process. Synopsis refers to the maximum information in limited words. See, it is only through your synopsis your guide and the research admission committee gets to know your idea. So whatever you have written, from that they have idea of how your research is going to be. Okay. And what you must try is, you must try to give a quick understanding of what you want to research. Okay. And before writing synopsis, please do a thorough research. You must at least take a span of 6 months to do research and form idea on which field you are doing, which author you are doing, or are you doing in abstract works, or are you doing just in critical theories. Okay. And after your research, after you have found out, okay, this is the work that I'm going to do, then you have to check in Shodhganga and other libraries if anybody hasn't done it. Your work is unique, and once you confirm that, you can select your topic. That also I told you, that it must be narrowed down. It must not be a broad field, it must be narrowed down. After that, you have to read literature review. How many people have done similar works, and how is your work going to be different from them, and how is your work going to add it to the particular field. Okay. And if you are not confident enough, you can approach professors who will help you to form this synopsis, or whenever you are in doubt, go approach your professors who are willing to help you. Okay, you must remember that if you are selected, you will be getting PhD admission and also fellowships to do research. Now, some tips for writing synopsis. Okay, see, different universities follow different formats. So, what I am going to tell you is just the general format. Usually, a synopsis looks like this. So, I have given you the order, right? So, that is just a general format. If particular university wants it to be in some other format, please be doing it in that format. Okay, so usually this synopsis must be within 5 to 10 pages. If you are doing it in 5-6 pages, that's okay, but then it should be precise and concise, and it must convey your idea. So maximum 10 pages, not more than that. Nobody will have the patience to read more than 10 pages. Okay, and some scholars have a doubt if works cited is required in a synopsis. No, works cited is not required in a synopsis. Okay, and follow the MLA book. MLA currently MLA 8 or MLA 9 is going on, but then if MLA 10 comes, then you have to follow that. So whatever, follow MLA edition as required by your university. Okay, and please take care to see that there are no grammatical errors. It must be error free, and you have to do perfect proofreading. You see, because your synopsis is your key into the world of PhD doctorates. Okay, and further, and from there you can go for postdoctoral fellowship and all. For that you have to clear this particular step. So therefore your synopsis must not contain any errors. Please check that. And there are some scholars who have doubt if one could include quotes in synopsis. You can very well include quotes, not bigger quotes, but then smaller, shorter quotes. Okay, moving to the next session. As I was mentioning, for this much time I have been talking about research proposal for the admission of PhD. And after your admission, after your several doctoral committee meetings, after your pre-submission viva, once you have written your thesis, again you are required to submit your synopsis. Your synopsis is nothing but an introduction to your thesis. So before reading your thesis, they would like to get an abstract of what you have done in your thesis. So that would include title, introduction, and research questions. Once you write the thesis, it is a very easy process. You know what your research questions were and how you found answer, and what you set for. In this particular case, what happens is your aims and objectives are very clear. So this is a very easy process. After writing your thesis consisting of so many pages, writing a synopsis is very easy. Okay, there you must see there is a slight change between the research proposal and the synopsis which you give for PhD submission during the submission time. Okay, the slight changes, please note: title, introduction, research questions you must mention, objectives you must mention, research hypothesis you must mention. Research hypothesis is, first you must form an assumption. If something is going this way, this is what we have to expect. This is done even in literature, even in humanities. This assumption and coming to a conclusion is usually done. Hypothesis is usually given. Okay, and if you have framed a very nice hypothesis, then the guides will be surely impressed. Okay, then again here you must mention gap in existing research, how your work has filled gap in particular research, how your unique work is a contribution to one particular field. Yes, coming to methodology, in the methodology you would be speaking about your theories, you would be speaking about your comparison, that process, and also what your unique methods that you have applied. Okay, coming to chapter divisions, here again chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 you have to here, but what happens is there in the research proposal you have just given, okay, I am going to divide my thesis into chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay, but here you would be giving in chapter 1 what you have done, in chapter 2 what you have done, chapter 3 what you have done. Okay, so on. And finally there you gave conclusion that your work would be significant in this way, that way, you said that. But here you would mention further scope for research. that is useful for other PhD fellows who are to follow your path. Okay. So I hope I am clear. I have spoken for so much time about synopsis when it is written as a research proposal, and synopsis when it is given for PhD submission. There are minor changes, but then please try to understand. When you are getting into it, it is a different format, and when you are submitting and getting out of this process, research process, it is a separate format. So thank you so much for your time, friends. Take care.